dip, 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 and let me see you rock, rock, rock. I wanna put your hip, 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 and never ever stop, stop, stop. I love it when you flex like that. Slow, fast, up, down, bring it back. I love it when you move like that. Slow, fast, up, down, bring it back. I love it when you ride like that. Slow, fast, up, down, bring it back. I love it when you flex like that. Slow, fast, up, down, bring it back. I love it when I see a pretty girl wagging.
Okay, welcome back to the Bunnycast.
Man, that was a good week-long sleep.
I'm sitting here. I've been sitting here the whole time.
Yeah, MDM, your shirt is starting to really smell. Your shirt
my shirt smells. It's covered in dirt, and it is awesome.
What are you doing getting dirt collected at the computer?
Because he's manly.
I'm manly.
Collecting dirt on the computer.
His manly powers of manliness include the ability to attract dirt to him at any possible time.
That's always, I guess that's true. I mean, hell, my store is really clean, yet every day I have to dust the computers off. And I'm like, where does it come from?
Okay, let's jump into our topics of discussion. To start off with, Squato wanted us to take a stab at the thing with Rupert Murdoch. So, Squato, explain to us what we will be discussing.
Damn image now. So, getting rid of... Yes, I'm still looking for that thing. There is a shitload of stuff to go through. Okay, basically, what's going on is this last year, Rupert Murdoch made a big speech regarding media online, and he's saying it basically amounted to the old empire finally making a move in regards to the internet. And the reason why this is the case is, for those people who aren't too aware how it's been going for the last few years, is when newspapers decide to actually get onto the net, they basically went, okay, we'll have our stories on there. Problem is, as anyone that has any idea with how the net works, internet costs money, particularly if you're hosting sites. So that meant that they were not making money. So that's when they came up with stupid things such as more ads, tailoring it, which didn't quite work. And then they just brought up with, here's a story about a cute puppy.
We call it YouTube.
Yeah, basically. So basically that's how it was going for years. And now Rupert Murdoch's finally come out and he said that, no, that's not going to work. The model does not work. Old media is just being destroyed by this. Old media, such as the old newspapers, which have been the pinnacle of journalistic integrity, they've been the greatest. Great for it. They've been there for years and always telling the truth. That's the type of information people have wanted, and now it's changing. So they need to make sure that they work with what's happening so that they can stay relevant. But the big thing is people have to change for them. So the decision was made with Rupert Murdoch, and he's focusing for the moment just on just on newspapers. But you can tell he's going to try and push with, say, things like Fox News and things like that, which is going to happen the same way, which is you pay to access the information. And
sorry, I was listening to you, Squato, and all I heard was Rupert Murdoch came out.
It's his coming out party.
Wow.
Isn't he Australian?
No, he's American. He gave up his Australian citizenship.
Why? Okay. He was born in Australia and he still speaks with an Australian accent.
Yeah, but he gave it up because he wanted to make American money. So he's American.
Yeah. Let me guess. This is more of, we don't want anything to do with the fucker anymore.
Pretty much. He's he has kind of still got some level of how things work with Australia, which is that he's got at least one operation headquartered here, but everything else he's just pulled into the US. It's all American focused because they want to base it all out of America.
Yeah. Well, okay. See, here's my thing about Rupert Murdoch. Number one,
he's an idiot.
Damn it, MDM, you just made me yawn too.
Number two, he's a moron. Number three, he's what's another word? A boob. He's a boob. Number four, he's an ignoramus. I've actually been watching this whole thing with the newspapers and how it's going since pretty much the beginning of the public internet. I actually had access to the internet through my high school before it was open to the public. So I've been in this from the beginning. No, I don't still have that old account. No, I don't still have that old email address. But watching everything go from an analog world with this digital peripheral to everything is digital and happens to have an analog counterpart in some way. There was a newspaper called the Rocky Mountain News. I grew up with this newspaper. It was my favorite newspaper of all the options that were available, and surprisingly enough, there was a decent number.
Quit the breathing.
Yes.
What?
I'm sorry, I can't actually hear Homer speak. The breathing was just that loud.
Yes. So we've got in Denver. There was actually a couple, at least 2 major newspapers and several smaller newspapers, and Rocky Mountain News was one of the big 2. Usually, it was the number 2 on the list, whereas the Denver Post was number 1. Usually, sometimes they would trade spots. About, I want to say 6 months ago.
Dude, the breathing is annoying. Cut it out.
Stop breathing, damn it! This living thing is getting on my nerves. So
Die already, damn you.
About 6 months ago, I found out that the Rocky Mountain News just closed its doors. It wasn't even a matter of, cutting down on its staff, reducing circulation, moving more stuff online. It was just, they looked at everything. They said, okay, you know what? We didn't move fast enough. We didn't get this taken care of beforehand. It's going to do nobody any good for us to sit here and slog this out and just watch everything bleed and die and eventually have to declare bankruptcy. So we're just going to close. And they closed. Everybody was laid off. From top to bottom, there is no more Rocky
About 1,200 staff, I believe.
Yeah. There is no more Rocky Mountain News, period.
A newspaper which had been in publication since, what was it, the 1850s?
Yeah.
Somebody knows how to look stuff up on Wikipedia.
No, I just know how to read.
Same thing.
Here's my
No,
point.
that's just looking, not reading.
Here's my point. The Rocky Mountain News, an absolutely ancient source of news, everybody'd come to rely on it, just gone. Literally overnight, thanks to the internet.
that was actually one of the first big newspapers to fall. Many had been falling for years beforehand, and truth be told, many newspapers have been falling even before the internet came out, but it's actually just really pushed it more because of the fact that, as I said, it's how was it equated? Yes, it's one commentator who actually gave a good reasoning behind it is that they equate what's happening with the internet and how media's landscape is changing. The best way you can compare it to would be when printing press came out and how it changed from how people used to hand write books to now that they could actually just release anything that printed en masse.
Every time, it never fails.
The best part is I don't even have to do any post editing. It's like, insert dramatic sting here. Oh, no, take care.
Every time.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of analogies to be drawn with past technological revolutions. And yes, there was a bunch of newspapers that were failing, but there was also a bunch of newspapers that were starting up. I mean, it was your standard business cycle. The internet is doing to newspapers what the automobile did to the buggy whips. It's killing them because nobody needs it anymore.
The thing is, that's not exactly an easy point to say. You're going, well, no one needs it anymore. If that's truthfully, now to a point, yes, that's true. But if you think that's only the case, no, it's not. Okay, I'll give you a good example. This is one that came from Media Watch, which is the TV show which does media discussions. They use the example of why it would be a bad thing. Now, people saying, it's going to be great when you have everything drift towards the internet. For example, the Huffington Post, which is probably the biggest, quote, newspaper online. something that Rupert Murdoch reckons he cites that as one of the negative parts about the internet, because they don't actually do their own research, even though they make about $7 million per year. They don't do their own research. What they do is they just make commentary on other people's what's been stated in the news beforehand or by others. So,
this is different from the modern newspaper how. I mean, pretty much all the newspapers just take from the Associated Press and other similar, like Reuters, similar networks. There's boots on the ground, but they're not the ones that are actually publishing the stories in the papers. They're just putting it up to Associated Press. To a point. But that's, as I said, that is true to a point. But then again, there's things where the Associated Press and the other Reuters and the other ones, they do work because they use more local sources, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't quite spectacularly when someone photoshops very badly a photo about, say, a war. We know that.
I don't like these stories because nobody's allowing me to have my own opinion on them.
Okay, well, here's the thing, Squato. There's what's called boots on the ground journalism, which that's when you actually have somebody going in and doing the story and digging up the dirt and doing the research, and that's all well and good. And then you have the content aggregators, to use a more modern term, and that's basically what the newsroom editor used to be, where they would take a look at all the stories that the journalists would bring in. They would say, okay, this one gets headline, this gets page 2, this one gets buried in section C, this one can go next to the Macy's ad, etc. We don't need a physical newspaper anymore because the content aggregators are the bloggers who have an audience that say, okay, this is my interest, this is my interest, this is my interest, this might all interest all of you. And now we have things like Twitter and Facebook and...
basically the breakdown of how it works. But the thing is that works to a point, but this is one point they say where newspapers do work is that you can have someone who generally they've worked for years, they do know the ins and the outs of business, and which is the problem you have with a lot of the blogs. There is now, I'm not saying there isn't the good blogs which do this right, but a lot of times it's a case where someone's just talking about it and it just ends up being lost in the noise.
Well, so that's how the good blogs wind up differentiating themselves in terms of it being actual sources of information on the internet.
Which then becomes a point where it tends to be that the big ones are the ones that have actually had something good from those people, and how they break down in long run depends. I say that because you've had some good ones, they've faded in the long run because they've basically tried to make themselves into almost like the Huffington Post. I'm using that as the example. And as you get with any project which starts to grow big, egos amongst other things get into the point and people split off and it all breaks down again.
Well, you're not describing anything different from modern newspapers, the thing. The only
to a point.
The only real difference is that blogs are not usually started with the intention, I'm going to make money off of this, and eventually they wind up making money, and that's where egos really start to get involved because
the thing is, Huffington Post was actually Huffington Post because that was created to make money. It was not a case of just someone with a blog. It was
but the people they bring in are people who started writing without the intention of
they're bringing in some cases newspaper staff. All of a sudden you had about 5 things just sort of merged together. Thank you, Skype, for crashing chats together like that.
Yes, and the Skype spam is also wonderful.
Cheers to you, Skype. They're not getting anything right. But so what we're going to lead into is when it comes to with me. I was trying to get the right thing. Yeah, with say Iraq, how you have embedded reporters there. That's something you get from that newspapers do but you won't get from say the Huffington Post because of the fact that these people will actually have reporters who they will spend money, and it costs millions of dollars, sometimes in the tens of millions of dollars, to have these people go to these areas of the world, like I said, Iraq, where they'll be spending sometimes months, if not years, working there, making local contacts, spending money, building up this repertoire and building up a reputation, and then giving out that news and making people be aware of the situations which are going on in these places. You don't get that from places like the Huffington Post because they can't spend the money.
Well, I disagree.
You do have people who on the ground that are there already will talk about it, but then again, thing is, a lot of barriers creep into it. For example, people in, say, Iraq, one of the problems is language barrier. That's a big problem for them saying what's happening there. It won't spread to, say, English language or other European, the Western world too much because, cultural barriers are other things too.
I disagree, and here's why. There is a blogger I subscribe to. His name is Michael Yon, at Y-O-N. He is a boots-on-the-ground embedded reporter, and the thing is, he's not embedded by any particular news organization. He's just somebody who, on his own, decided he wanted to make sure that the news got reported on the war in Iraq. I mean, you want to pick a good topic to discuss. That this is a fantastic one. All of his work is funded just by people investing money in him for the purpose of going to Iraq to report as an embedded reporter, boots on the ground style. He does not get paid by any major news organization. It's just people going to his site, dropping some money through, looks like he probably does PayPal.
Sorry. I was going to say, forgive me, I just came back to the conversation. I had to help out some customers. But I did hear a good portion of that there. I personally did not care too much for the media over in Iraq. Most of it's just very... Now, don't get me wrong. Some of it's actually... Some of the people that did a nice professional job. I don't mind them. Some of the media that was there, they were invasive. They were like in your face, give me information now type. And I'm just like, get away. I just want to eat my food.
Yeah. Well, you'd like Michael Yon then, because he's very much the observer. He stands back and lets the group do its thing. Yeah, that's fine. He listens when they say, "Okay, you get down now."
Yeah, see, that's what I like is when people, okay, stuff's going on. All right, we're fine. Okay, orders are coming in. You need to get down to the ground now. Okay, so he does, and I'm good with that. It's when they sit around going, "Why? What's going on?" While there's explosions going on. Like, really? What do you mean? What's going on?
I've seen that happen. So we need people to tell us exactly what is going on because we cannot figure it out from the facts ourselves.
I'm standing here live as explosions are going off around me. Oh, just like that one just behind me. I'm not entirely sure what's happening yet, but as soon as I find out what's going on, I will be sure to inform you. I've just been told that mortars are coming into the base.
I've just been told people are shooting at me.
So, okay, the point...
Yeah, Homer, give me the link with that guy because I actually think that would be a good one to point out to Media Watch because they're the ones I've been... To tell you the truth, that's a lot of this information I've actually got from... has actually come from Media Watch because they've actually been doing breakdowns, they've actually been supporting evidence and things like that, and I've been reading off from that, from what they have. So, yes, for those people who are interested, that's where I've been getting a lot of my evidence and views have been influenced from.
So, okay. Getting back to the point, the economy of news is changing.
Yeah.
And it's no longer economically viable to have these big, gigantic silos of news where a bunch of information goes in and interpreted, disseminated news gets stamped on sheets of wood pulp and handed out to the general populace for a small fee. That does not work anymore because nobody wants to pay for that anymore.
Which is, well, that's one of the things that's interesting is because, as you said with the fee, because that's why it's a big, this change actually is a very fundamental change because in the old days, when people paid for the newspaper, say, $1.20, something like that for the Herald, I think it is. No, $1.50. That's nothing. No, none of that money really makes it to the newspapers themselves. They make nothing from the actual purchases of people buying their newspaper. Where they make the money? The ads.
Yeah.
Which is why this is such a big change. Is actually interesting because who's making the money from people buying the subscriptions to the online media sources? Themselves.
Right. And that's the thing about Michael Yon and PJTV and other similar organizations. And I haven't talked about PJTV yet. These organizations, when you pay the money, you know where the money's going, where they're getting their primary sources of income from, etc. And even if there's ads on the site, you know that if you follow that ad, you know who's getting the money for having followed that ad and purchased whatever the product is.
Hallelujah! Something that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yay!
With the traditional newspaper model, nobody knew where any of the money was going. Maybe you liked, let's say Roger Ebert, to name a big old media guy that's still making a name for himself in the new media.
Because he's still alive.
So,
let's say you follow Roger Ebert and you really like him, and so you're paying,
irrespective of views about games.
And movies. So you're paying I think it's the Chicago Sun-Times that he used to write for. So you're paying them. Well, you don't know how much of that money goes to Roger Ebert, if any of your money goes to Roger Ebert at all. But let's say that's the only reason you're paying for the Chicago Sun-Times. Well, if he leaves the Chicago Sun-Times, well, you're going to obviously take your money to wherever he's going. But wouldn't it be nice if you could just pay the money to him directly and have him write and you get that information directly? And so you know that every single penny is going to the person who's doing the work to make sure that you get that information?
Well, that's why one of the ideas they had on this from I think it's the New York Times or Wall Street Journal. What they want to do is that you can have your general news sources, like your basic stuff such as the cat stories, stuff like that. They're free, no payment for that. Updates about things that are happening, they're free. When it comes to discussions, that you pay for, you pay a lot, and you pay a bit more when it comes to how much you want to be actively involved with the discussion. Right. Basically, the Facebook version of news.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned Facebook in this conversation because here's the funny thing is, we discussed in pre-show how Rupert Murdoch basically wants to Facebookize news, which would be nice if Facebook had not already done that. And Facebook is getting paid not from the people who are reading the news. They're getting paid from the advertisers on Facebook's website and the people that they get money for disseminating information to.
Which is why Rupert Murdoch is pissed off, because if they have stories, which is what he's doing with Google, why he's suing Google, if there's any stories, yes, he is. If there's any stories...
I'm glad because he's pissed off because he's not getting the money.
Yeah, basically, because that's the case.
Sounds like he's trying to jump on a bandwagon that's already left.
Yeah, well, you go... Yeah. If you
You're not paying me for what everybody else is already doing. Damn you. What is wrong with you?
Comic reviews.
We'll get there.
Well, we got to get to our other topic of discussion, so let's wrap this up.
Well, there was one other big point, which is what's really causing this such a big problem when it comes to news, and that is how could you describe it? What the elephant in the room, and when it comes to changing the media dynamics, and that is the open public source news services. Now, this is something that Americans don't have, but it's something that Australia and Britain do have, and that is, for Britain, it's the BBC, and in Australia, it's the ABC. These are news sources, these news agencies created under public funding to tell Australian stories for Australia with the ABC, or British for the British to inform British public. They also do for TV stuff and radio for both countries and to a level. But in Australia, they talk about... using this Australian example just easier because as Killerfish can do with the British because he lives there. But yeah, in Australia, they'll have...
Don't look at me.
You do it.
Stop bringing me into the conversation. I've not said anything for 10 minutes.
You just broke your 10-minute mark.
But yeah, they make their own TV drama shows, things like that. But when it comes to news, they do their own news stories. They have their own news. They're even going as far as to open up their own 24-hour news channel. And there's also on the radio, even have online, they have very in-depth and quite beautifully written stories about events that are going on. Now, who funds these? The government pays for it, so it's paid by taxpayers. Rupert Murdoch wants this to be stopped because this is and whatever changes that they want to make for the media landscape, it's going to be made very much. It's harder for them to argue the case. They need to bring these changes about if you have this free source of information that's giving out a very in-depth information to the level that he wants it to be done at. And these people are actually paid to go and say, for instance, to Iraq and places like that.
I don't like these people. Their ideas are anti-Murdoch.
Should burn them with fire.
We're going to have the pro-Murdoch and anti-Murdoch parties now. Great.
So, Murdoch wants to destroy those. Yeah, Murdoch wants to destroy those type of news sources. Basically, the government, after 70 years of funding, will say, we're not going to fund you anymore because of the fact that you're anti-competitive to the corporations.
We're going to have the liberals, the conservatives, and the Murdochs.
Okay, so let's move on to our second topic of discussion, the expansion of the Bunnycast networks.
Motorcycles.
Why we have Sir Imdium the Persistent here. Sir Imdium.
Was that why we had him here? I
Yes.
didn't realise that. I thought he was just here because he was hanging around.
It's not because he's kidnapping people anymore.
Oh, that's not funny.
Okay.
I still haven't figured out how to upload that yet.
So,
When
MDM,
I do manage to upload that, you'll hear what Squato's talking about.
are we talking about your podcast episode?
Yes.
Figured out them.
Squato and I had this joke running. We had this joke running where where he was all like, "Oh, he kidnapped me. He's got me in his basement." Right?
Oh, jeez. I have to hear this now.
Well, we are, as I said, we are expanding the Bunnycast.
Feed me.
So,
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me now.
we do have Sir MDM's, what was it? The
Science Corner.
Science Corner. Thank you. I could not remember I knew it was science something. I was thinking the podcast of science, but that wasn't it.
That's not right. No.
The podcast.
It's the podcast of amazing science inventions.
It's a lie, like the cake.
Yes.
The cake is alive.
Yes. Oh, we should have. No, Squato, what we should have said is I should have lured you in with cake, right? The cake is a lie.
Yes, well, hindsight is 20/20, and there's always the next recording. So,
Unless you have a memory like mine.
Which is a week from, which is going to be on the 14th.
They say that everybody has photographic memory. Mine just lacks film.
I have a pornographic memory.
everything turns into porn in my mind.
34.
So,
The internet's for porn,
the internet is for porn. The internet. Sorry.
Yes. So yeah, we had our first episode last week. We talked about Left 4 Dead 2, Saturn having a giant blizzard on it, some asteroids finding water and asteroids, the oil spill in Louisiana.
Ordered an asteroid?
Yeah, there's water.
Where? Where do you? I want to order an asteroid. I want one.
I said water in asteroids.
Fail.
That was funny.
I'm not failing it.
That was
It's you.
funny. Okay, so, so good, lots of sciencey stuff going on there.
And video games and other things that we talk about.
Well, of course, it's the Bunnycast. In addition to Sir MDM's Science Corner, you said?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm tired.
Red! Yay!
I'm sure running.
Matt Damon.
I'm going to go take a nap while you guys get this out of your system.
We'll be done in about 2 hours.
Exactly. Like I
See you
said,
next
I'm gonna
year.
go take a nap.
Yeah. Can we get this over
in addition to Sir MDM Science Corner, we are also going to start doing special Bunnycast episodes. This is stuff that passes our way that we say, oh, this would be great, but it doesn't fit or in our normal schedule or our normal time slots, or doesn't work for either the Bunnycast itself or the MDM Science Show. So we're going to be doing special, dedicated, it's a podcast. It's not going to have a regular schedule per se, although chances are we're going to be releasing only after doing recordings on Fridays for reasons we'll discuss later. Point is that very soon we're going to have 3 podcast feeds. Yes. And we are looking for beta listeners. But you can hear this podcast just fine.
We get to test you.
It's kind of like being a beta gamer for a video game, only not quite as fun.
You put the lotion on its skin. That's all I have to say.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
What we're going to be testing is we're going to be testing some live broadcasting. So those of you who are interested, here's the time block you need to have available. Friday mornings, every other Friday, starting on, let's see, not the 7th. Today's the 7th. Why didn't I look this up beforehand? Okay, so
Because that takes effort.
starting on either the 21st of May or the 4th of June, we are going to be, again, testing out this live broadcasting. If you're interested, email me. Don't post to the forums. Don't post to a thread. Email me directly. homernet@me.com. And I'll make sure that you have the information you need to listen in as we record live. And yes,
That means we won't be censored as much as usual.
Ah, fuck.
we do record for between 2 to 3 hours. You don't have to sit in and listen for the whole thing, but you're welcome to do so if you like. And
We'll just mock you when you're not there.
just let us know how
Like
it
we
works.
do when Squato goes away.
Let me know how it works. Give me feedback. Again, homernet@me.com if you are interested and want to provide feedback. So,
Comic reviews.
web comic reviews. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and start because apparently I banned this comic earlier and don't remember having done so.
You banned it, not this comic, but
He banned it. He banned it because he's proto Skynet. That's why.
you banned the
But I
earlier
am
version of
Skynet.
it.
He cannot be proto Skynet. If I am Skynet.
That's why he's proto.
So,
Regular always comes out after proto and is therefore younger.
those of you
So-
who are good old-fashioned readers of webcomics, there is/was, it was dead for a while, but it looks like it started up again, a webcomic called Badly Drawn Kitties. I'm going somewhere with this. Badly Drawn Kitties had a few interesting storylines that interested the artist Jay Naylor at jnaylor.com.
I like Jay Naylor.
Yes, he's a very good artist.
I met Jay Naylor. No, wait, was it Jay Naylor? No, never mind. I was at a furry convention a few months back where I'd actually met several artists that I very much enjoy their art. I remember Jay Naylor was there. I didn't actually get to meet him.
Right. So
I was almost run over by Stan Lee.
Everyone's almost run over by Stan Lee. It's nothing new there.
Your family heritage was run over though by trucks.
Yes.
Killerfish's family coat of arms.
Oh yeah,
on
Homer
their
wasn't
shield.
here for that. Homer wasn't here for that Lincoln.
Yeah. Killerfish's family coat of arms features this beautiful leafed crest with, like, I think some kind of helmet or something over the top, and then this shield which looks like tire tracks.
Motorcycles from Mars.
So,
COD games of motorcycles in space.
Jay Naylor did a webcomic that was an offshoot of Badly Drawn Kitties called Better Days, describing the life and childhood of the characters from Badly Drawn Kitties.
Is that where that's from?
Yes.
I've read that comic.
Now, Better Days and Badly Drawn Kitties had a falling out. Yes, you're right. That does look like tire tracks. The author of Badly Drawn Kitties turned out to be a flaming liberal, and the author and Jane.
I'm sorry, I do have to laugh at that.
Jane Naylor is very clearly a conservative who likes.
There's a bit of debate as to what he actually is in terms of political leaning.
I'm a conservative. I recognize them. He's a conservative no matter what he happens to claim. So
I have no idea where I lie. I just pretty much say I'm neutral with leaning towards probably one or the other. I don't know.
Do you like guns?
Yes.
They're useful.
Do you have the opinion that it doesn't matter what one's nationality is as long as they do good work, then they're good?
As long as they're good to me.
You're conservative.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I'm neutral with leaning towards conservative then.
Better Days, as its own standalone comic, came to an end. And then the gentleman started up Original Life, which seems to be either an offshoot or a continuation of Better Days, in the same vein that Better Days is an offshoot or a continuation or a prequel of Badly Drawn Kitties. As in, there's a lot related, and boy howdy, you can certainly see how one could go to the other, but it is not entirely clear that there is real connections between the two. Original Life features a family who has some kids that are unique and interesting and fun to follow, and the mom and dad. Why can't I'm terrible with names right now. Shoot. The mom and dad are... The dad is the one that I think is from the Better Days comic. He seems to... he seems to be the same character.
Yes, is this in Original Life you're reviewing right now?
Yes.
Yeah, he was in the Better Days, because apparently in the original comic what was it that I did? Yeah, the girls was in that, but her brother was killed off earlier on, and this is where the guy creating him just went, well, he didn't die, and now he stays alive.
Yeah.
Oh.
I understand the schism occurred before the guy who did Badly Drawn Kitties decided to kill off this character. So.
I think pretty early on the planning.
In any case, this again, it looks. My opinion is this looks like another alternate sort of timeline.
Yeah,
the art is fantastic. Jay Naylor's art has been excellent pretty much since I first became aware of him as a peripheral of Badly Drawn Kitties, and he's got a sense of writing and a sense of pacing, and I mean, basically everything about this guy's work is fantastic, even if you don't agree with his politics or his religion or anything like that. If you have any capability of saying, okay, I don't agree with what he has to say, but I can respect him based on his merits, he's got a lot to respect based on his merits. So,
hey, there you go.
So if you like good art, good story, good writing, go read Original Life, and if you're interested, go and read Better Days. It's not necessary that you read Badly Drawn Kitties because, frankly, he's developed enough of his own story that you don't need to read Badly Drawn Kitties at all.
Story-wise, it's generally interesting, but we should point out there is a bit. This is the reason why he kind of banned it in the first place. The controversy is in regards to one certain chapter, and basically what happens is that the brother and sister have sex together.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, wait. Let's talk about that since it came up.
Yay! We're talking about incest.
Have to talk about
A game the whole family can play.
This is a comic about.
Hold on. I would like to state, though, be quite blatant here. I am not into that.
Yeah.
In case anyone's wondering, I'm into a lot of things, but that's not one of them.
There's, as far as I'm concerned, this is a part of the story, and this Jane Naylor is not afraid to approach topics that are controversial. For example, there was
that passes off as being with that other stories is that he only threw that in there because it was part of the other story.
Yeah,
and it's part of her background, so that's the only reason why it's in there. So,
however. I mean, we're going to continue talking about this because I think it's important to discuss. Again, he's not afraid to approach controversial subjects. There was, talking. Sure, the brother and sister have sex, and for the two of them, it turns out to be something that it was a chapter of their lives. They moved beyond it. But talking about incest and how it's got extremely bad consequences for the majority of the time, we're talking like the 99s, 99.99999, so on and so forth, % of the time. There's a storyline about a girl that moved in with her family that all of a sudden she's getting, what's his name, Fisk?
yeah, I think that's the brother's name. Yes.
Yeah, she's getting Fisk in the sack in his treehouse, and they're both what, 10, 11, maybe. They're really, really young, and you find out through the course of the story that the reason that this girl thinks this is acceptable behavior is because her father has sex with her repeatedly, whether or not she wants it. And of course, Fisk tells an adult what's going on. There's an arrest made, and what I really like is you get a chance to catch up with this girl 10 years later. Turns out she's joined the Army Medical Corps. And she describes some of what happened, including one of, in my opinion, the most amusing yet sad scenes in this girl's life is she's in this foster home, and she's really likes the foster home, wants to stay there. Basically, falling. I'm going to use the term falling in love here, but as a kid, wanting to be with these parental figures as a kid with parents, right? But the only parental figure she's had is this father who sexually abuses her. So it shows the foster dad sitting there with his pipe, reading his newspaper, and the girl just walks up to him, and you can't see it, but the girl puts her hand on the guy's junk, we'll say. And the reaction shot is truly classic. It's got the glasses popping up, the eyes bugging out, the pipe popping out of the guy's mouth. It's like, holy hell! And that's quite the reaction. And it's a funny little scene, but
right.
it highlights just how screwed up this little girl got to be because of an incestuous relationship.
Wait, what did she say?
What?
What did she say?
She didn't say anything. She put her hand on her foster father.
Oh, okay. Sounded like you said she goes, "Well, you can't see it," and then the reaction. And
no.
I think that's what MDM was going to ask. I was thinking to myself,
I said you can't see it, but this is what she does. And basically, it's another tribute to Jay Naylor's art style and his ability as an artist to convey what's going on without directly showing what's going on.
What I actually really like about it is how he actually did a very great job of doing that. But some people, when it comes to that, they just don't like it. In fact, they outright hate the comic because it actually went there.
Oh my god, it actually shows this, even though I don't know anything about the story, the background, or what the hell's actually going on. I hate it because it goes against that kind of thing.
Yeah, and
closed-minded people are so much fun.
It reminds me of there's a book. It's like an annual report actually that's released by who is it? The American Librarians Association or something like that. Basically, these are the books that were banned, and here's the highlights.
Here's why. And
I recall reading at one point one of the stories. I forget which book it was. I think it was The Chocolate War. It was banned by a school district, not because there was some legitimate reason to ban it, but because some parent decided that they didn't like some scene that their kid was writing a report on. And so they stirred up the entire community. The teacher can no longer return to that school district because the entire community just got... Basically, they got to the point where one wrong thing was said or done, there would have been violence, and somebody would have probably wound up dead. That bad.
That reminds me of a book that was taken off the shelves of libraries all across the nation. I believe the book was called Deanie. And I think on one page, for like part of a paragraph, it talks about. And this is from a young girl's point of view, mid to early teens, pubescent, adolescent, whatever. And for part of a page, it talks about masturbation. It doesn't go into explicit detail or anything. It just says something about touching down there at the special place. And yet, this was cause enough for this to be taken off the shelves.
Mm-hmm. And here's why I bring this particular story up in this context. One of the parents, when asked, "Why don't you, do you know what goes on in the story?" the parent actually said, "I don't need to read it to know that it's trash."
Don't judge a book by its cover. Much. Come on now.
Yeah. So for all of those people who say, because of this sensitive material, this comic is trash and should never be read, I say, fuck you. I'm going to read it. In fact, I'm going to read more of it just because you don't want me to read it.
We're going to spend an entire episode and read the entire strip out loud to you.
I like this plan. Let's do this. Let's make a.
We're going to do a live podcast where we read the entirety of a book, doing the voices of the characters as if.
And we'll pick a highly controversial book. But let's.
I call being Hermione.
No,
I reckon
we're
I'd be a
not
good
reading
Hermione.
My Immortal.
Oh God, no.
It's like, I'm not about to ban this, but I'm not reading it.
All right, I'm going to be right back. I got to go do stuff.
Okay, so, Squato, let's, not Squato, Killerfish, let's do underling comic.
Yes, this is a comic that I ran across only today. It's only just started, so people will... It's only about 64 comics so far, but I'm expecting good things of this. Just to explain it to you, I shall read two lines from two comics, which I find sums up the entirety of the comic for you. The first one is, "I am the harbinger of the end of days, and this is the story of how it will transpire." And then the next comic goes on to say, although it might be a bit more accurate to say this is the story of how I screwed it up.
Nice!
Yes.
Great. Now that I know the entirety of the comic, I don't need to read it because I know the entirety of the comic.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a basic story of kid who wants power, ends up making a deal with the devil and kind of ending up screwed up. So, all kinds of wacky fun. I like it.
It's like Bedazzled minus the love portion story thing. Desire.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest it. Underlingcomic.com. There we go. I don't need to say anything else.
Wait, there's no 10-minute discussion about how there's controversial content?
No, there's no timid discussion about the satanic rituals.
First comment because it has none.
Okay.
It sucks!
Squato, have you picked something to review yet?
His other comics? I'll probably review, was it New World?
I think we did that one.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
That's the
I
one.
don't know because my memory sucks.
That's the one with the Age of Discovery.
That one sounds familiar.
But basically with furries.
I'm interested, though.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we've done that one.
Oh, wait. Is this another Jay Naylor work?
Yes.
No, we haven't done this one.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I started reading it, but I lost the link, and for some reason, I just keep not remembering to go look it up again. So if you have the
Shame
link,
on you.
provide it.
Yeah, I'm digging that up right now.
So
yeah, be aware this comic he hasn't actually updated in years. Oh, you're fucking kidding. Under renovation.
I say, is this why you asked in the last podcast last week about with the updating within 3 years?
Yeah, but because we're doing I'll do this as a special example just because it's this case. Because we talked about these other ones. See, that's what I've got. Homer, if you can dig it up. I know it's floating around somewhere. Oh, because I've seen examples of the pages since, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have on my hard drive one of the pages because it was just so well done. There's basically, from what I remember of the story, it's this captain. Is the ship a privateering ship or?
Well, there's three ships.
Ship?
As I said, it's set in the Age of Discovery. There's three ships. There's one ship there's a cat empire to the north, and to the south there's a dog empire.
You know what cat empire makes me think of?
No.
Troy's Nation from the War Threads.
Which what? You broke up a little bit.
Yeah, no, not like that.
Troy's Nation Felina, I think it was called.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, you say Troy's Nation, that automatically makes me think, oh, it's a nation of cat girls.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know it's too well.
So yeah, basically they got these countries, and he went into a lot of depth creating these different nations and the histories and things like that. Yeah, you can kind of see where he was influenced from real world history, but he did a good job with it. Because he actually had the additional information, and with these ones, the Cat Empire was basically a confederation of various nations that come together because they had a dog nation to the south, and they went to war, and it was such a terrible war that they both had to unify, and it lasted for decades. And in the center was this country of fox people who had been quite expansionists, but basically got screwed because they decided not to do anything, win the war, and everyone basically just raided them. But they've remained an independent country. And the tensions have the war's finished. These two countries their tensions have been quite extreme, but nothing really has exploded. Then they discovered there's a new continent, basically even larger than where their own continents, to the western seas. So they basically, yeah. So there's there's now a land rush between the two powers to try and expand into these regions, and if need be, get rid of the cultures that are there already, so that they can grow in power while they're basically expanding into the two of them are sort of drifting towards another war. And in the center of it, it follows this captain, a female cat girl who is a pirate captain, and the two of them are chasing after her. These two captains one's of the dogs from the dog side and one's from the cat side.
See, all you really needed to say to me was female pirate cat girl.
And I'm in.
Well, I hope it's a female cat girl.
It is.
Because if it's a male cat girl, that kind of gets awkward.
Yeah. I'm not going to even go there.
It's a shim.
So,
but yeah, basically, it's these. As I said, he did a lot of great jobs to developing things up. He hadn't gone too far into it. He was actually still focused on just the old world, but they were hinting that they were going to be things were starting to get bad enough they had to escape to the new world, and as the shit was going to fall apart between the two powers, with, as I said, that Fox Empire was basically caught in the middle, and both sides trying to manipulate events with them so that they can basically cause a war with the other.
Fun.
Right.
it's good. If you get the opportunity, read it.
Yeah, the art is quite spectacular.
As is the writing.
Oh, yeah. And as I said, even the creative amount of detail he put into it. It's a shame that he didn't actually continue it. Now, before anyone says, oh, he only draws furry comics, he did actually have a comic with humans set in the near future with a war between, I think it was the East and West bloc countries basically fighting in this new Third World War. Actually, no, a Fourth World War, because this happened after the Third World War. All with humans, no furries. He discontinued it after about, 100 pages?
Because nobody was interested in it.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Go back in the
Nobody
corner.
cares, we want furries.
Furry is the way to
Get back
go.
in the corner.
Okay, so Zeph or MDM? Which one of you wants to go next?
Yeah, I'll go.
Rock, scissors, paper. Okay.
Nickel machine gun.
What?
Right.
Machine gun beats all those.
Cat girl. Are you going to shoot a cat girl? I call cat girl. I win. Go.
I call bucket of water. Oh, wait, I'm
All
not
right.
playing.
All right.
But that would
okay.
make Homer turn into a... Because he's Runma.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to run
Quick,
over
quick,
guys.
quick, splash Homer with cold water. See what happens.
If you don't pick between you, I'm going
All right,
to
all
pick.
right. I'll go. All right. All right. Dreamland Chronicles. It's been going on since for a few
Which
years
Chronicles?
now. Dreamland.
Dreamland Chronicles. Okay.
It's been going on.
Oh, yeah, that computer...
Yeah, it's all done in a computer animation 3D. It's pretty good. It's this dude who visits every night he sleeps. He visits this world called Dreamland, where he has like all these friends and stuff. He's currently in this quest to overthrow the evil dragon king, which has been going on for a while now. It's pretty interesting. I found it actually through Dan's Twitter. He's one of the followers, right? Let me get the link.
Oh.
There we are. Right now they're on a quest to find all these these tablets that have the history of Dreamland on it. Except the Dragon King, whose name is Nicodemus, has been going around destroying them. Yeah, Killerfish, thank you. But they do a pretty good job of the 3D stuff.
Interesting.
What?
Okay.
Sorry, you know how you had the random spam shit being sent to you? I got one just randomly got for me in Skype for no reason, with a link saying Egg Hitler. I have no idea who this person is. I have no idea who this person is, but they just sent me a link saying Egg Hitler with a link.
Okay. I'm not sure I want to know. At all.
Okay, well, so picking up on the Dreamland Chronicles, the art is very good. The only irritation I have with it so far is
mousing over.
I'm going through the archive, and the first part of the archive, it's like playing any modern Nintendo Wii game. This is how you read the comic. This is how you navigate the archive. This is how you can bookmark your place. It's like, okay, you've got all these nice little features that are completely unnecessary. So get to the damn comic, and it actually
wants to give you that video gaming experience.
It actually takes. I've lost track of the number of clicks I had to do just to get to the
3,
story.
4. I said 4. Damn it! Click. Oh, website's taking for. Wait. 5.
That's because it's got more than 5 people looking at the website at the same time.
6. Good lord. 7. This is ridiculous. 8. 9 pages.
Looking at me.
10 pages. 10 pages. 10. Oh, it even says at the top, page so much of 10. 10 pages of, here's how to read it.
All right, I'm back again. Hopefully I won't have to get back up.
Well, we were just talking about the tutorial for how to read the comic.
Oh, yes.
Well, hey, Homer, at least, I give them credit. They gave a tutorial on how to read the comic for people that need a tutorial on how to read a comic. I say this is a good thing because, hell. Even in the Army, we have tutorial on the stupid shit. When you buy a new pair of leather gloves, there is a little piece of paper inside each glove that tells you how to put it on. I shit thou not.
There's a classic with the rocket launcher. Point towards enemy.
I believe you.
Have you seen in Halo where they have the rocket launcher and it says there's a thing on the side that says hold like this?
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
The rocker is SPNKR. Spanker.
Spanker, yes.
The Spanker rocket missile. That sounds kind of kinky.
Great. Now I've got that animated GIF going in my head. Oh, yes, Bulbasaur, use Vine Whip.
You'll never fucking Halo the same.
Okay, so please give us the review of the actual comic itself, as opposed to just the tutorial.
I like the tutorial. It is very informative.
I've actually figured out how to just skip the tutorial. Just click the first button, and then you just click the next chapter, and it just goes straight to the first chapter.
Can I talk, please?
Go.
No.
All right. So it's done by this guy called Scott Christian Seva. He's got a whole team that helps him out with it. The main character's name is Alex or Alexander, as I like calling him. He's very. He's got a whole team of people that help him. His girlfriend, who is this elf princess, a rock giant, a little annoying fairy person.
Hey, listen. It seemed appropriate.
Oh my god! His brother, I can't remember what his name is on the top of my head, and this psychiatry student type person. There's also these allies in this. Other allies in Dream World, like the Dwarf King, mermaids, and other stuff. And I guess they're going on this whole big adventure where they define these tablets that have the history of the world on them, expose the fact that this Dragon King is a usurper and stuff.
The history of the world. Was it part 1 or 2?
No. 43.
I wonder if anybody gets that. Anyway.
Yeah, I get it.
Continue.
Yeah, that's about all I have because I'm getting distracted by people laughing.
Okay,
all right,
so
move on.
So it's a read it from you, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Zeph, you're the last one for webcomic reviews.
Who's the last one picked? No, I'm just kidding.
Derp.
Probably wouldn't have helped if I'd have kept trying to play rock, scissors, paper over Skype with MDM. Anyway, a comic I'm reviewing is called Inhuman. Basically, let me drop out of the tab of RuneScape here.
I got to start playing that again, dude. Soon, after we're done, I'm going to ask you what your username is.
I'll tell you later. Okay. Inhuman, basically, it's a comic that focuses a lot about existentialism and the ways that different alien races have dealt, namely the race called the Hexanians, I think, that have dealt with an event way back in the past with a company called Nitec that ended up killing a lot of the Hexanians. And so, of course, naturally, the entire race has a huge, huge amount of begrudged hatred for, well, the human race. It focuses, like I said, a lot on existentialism, how people can deal with this, overcome these obstacles of prejudices and what have you. And the comic really makes you think. It really does. The art style is very unique, I like to think. It's not CG. It's not digital. It's all done by, the pencil work and then the inked outlines. But it's colored by watercolor and marker. which link up here for you guys. It comes up with a, like it says, watercolor and marker, which creates a... Damn it, computer, work with me! Interesting way of showing the pictures, the imagery. The comic itself is still relatively young. It's got 370 strips, but I strongly... What?
Nothing. Just gotta wait for this to open up.
Oh. It's one of those that it has a relatively quick advancing, but still it's not too overly fast-paced storyline that I feel is definitely worth reading. It's definitely good. And I'm really sucking today on the descriptions here. Read it. It's a good comic. It's you can find it at inhuman-comic.com. It's the artist goes by the surname Icarus. Pretty much does all the artwork, does the storyline. Pretty much the entire comic is done by her. Storyline, narrative, artwork, everything. So it's a good read. It really makes you think. So go for it.
Thank you.
My muse is not with me today. My muse is not with me today.
All right, let's wrap it up. I'm tired. We're over time. Killerfish is dying over there. All right, let's just take a moment to thank our host.
Damn, he's still dying?
Yes, he's still dying.
He's progressing through the slow stages of dying, going slowly up the ladder.
They are hosting the
Bunnycast
networks, including, of course, the Bunnycast you are listening to, Sir MDM Science Corner, and the
Yay! Shameless self-advertising.
Plug Killerfish. Go.
Chesterx.com. It's the only site where you can wear cheese on your feet.
All right. What's your project?
Rampage. That's my
Death, destruction, burning.
Okay, I'll leave it there. I don't want to know more. Squato project.
Damn.
Still having fun trying to chase down Conan O'Brien, but I'm still at the same time waiting for people to actually, jump on that bandwagon. People, it's not just me trying to get him on. We need to get the internet working for us.
Yes. My project is that I am still doing the 90 Days project, and we're currently on day, I think it's 16.
Last time I checked, like 16 or 17, I don't remember. Because I follow the blog.
Speaking of which, web.me.com/HomerNet/Dame Helen. So go there, please. Follow my progress and post comments if you like. Also, fan me on Facebook. I've got the Dame Helen.
I got in trouble for fanning him on Facebook once. you remember that? Remember that?
Yes, and I still have to write the blog post about that. Xepharon project.
To kind of joke around about Squato getting Conan O'Brien on the Bunnycast. I also currently trying to find and locate something about a website letting you have cheese on your feet. Unfortunately, I did find that there is no cheeseonyourfeet.com, much to my dismay.
All right.
And lastly, just making my computer store grow, expand, and getting more customers, and drawing pictures of stuff, and yeah.
Furry porn. No.
Yes. No. I mean, no. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about MDM's current project, unless there's something...
No, I didn't get a chance to.
My not-so-secret is out.
No, I didn't get a chance to look at my project. Project, thing for Bunny Sweet Baby, that whole thing. Other stuff, working on converting, stuff into stuff that you don't need to worry about. I'll tell you about it later.
Stuff?
Okay.
I'm an alchemist!
Since the recording is probably going to be a little choppy on that, let me just clarify. There is a Bunny Sweet Beta. Sir MDM is Sweet Master of Bunny Sweet Beta.
And provided Squato shows up, I will be forcing him to help pay. Of course. Him and Troy, if they come. I will be forcing them to help pay.
Yes, it's not cheap to get a hotel room for a week.
Tell me about it.
I loved it. It's $1,737.62.
That's better than renting the Hard Rock Hotel for the
That's true.
that one time.
Okay, thank you, Sir MDM, for doing the Sweet Master duties on that.
Yeah.
We do have to close up.
Right.
Alguna Shive, www.EGS Comics. Go read it on a regular basis. Read early, read often. Dan's Twitter feed, twitter.com/DanTheShive. We're out.
Dan's Blogspot.
Magic dance. Watch out, the cute kitty's gonna get you. The kitty's gonna get you.
In a world we can't defy, there's more than meets the eye. The laws of right and wrong no longer apply. It's a crazy world, in a twisted turn of reality. It's you and me, and I need you here to keep some sanity. We are but pawns in a faded game of cat and mouse. Maybe a couple of squirrels thrown out here and there. It's a crazy world, it's twisted all up in my hair. I got you, I don't care. Sometimes I feel like I'm controlled like a hero in a comic book, baby. Chasing one day after the next, no settle down, no easy text, baby. But it makes me feel alive when you're here by my side. You complete the two of us, you make the rules apply. It's a crazy world, in a twisted turn of reality. It's you and me, and I need you here to keep some sanity. We are but pawns in a faded game of cat and mouse. Maybe a couple of headshots thrown out here and there. This crazy world is all messed up, all in my hair. I got you, I don't care. At my command, but now all that I want is just to be your man. It's a crazy world, in a twisted turn of reality. It's you and me, and I need you here to keep some sanity. We are but pawns in a faded game of cat and mouse. Maybe a couple of guinea pigs thrown out here and there. This crazy world is all messed up in my head. I got you, I don't care.